Let's discuss some solution architecture when using SSL with a load balancer. So we have this classic architecture where we have an autoscaling group and maybe an application load balancer that has an SSL certificate loaded onto it thanks to ACM. So our users are able to access our load balancer using HTTPS, and then our load balancer can be set up to talk to our EC2 instances using HTTP. That is something very simple, scalable, it works really well, it's classic. But sometimes you may want to set up SSL directly on your web server EC2 instances. Here's an example. We have an NLB and we have an autoscaling group, and we have TCP connection to the NLB, but we've decided to perform the HTTPS at the EC2 instance level for various reasons, but this is the way it happens. So you need to have an HTTPS connection happening from your EC2 instances. And for it to work, you need to retrieve these SSL certificates onto these EC2 instances for them to become an HTTPS web server. And so for this, something you can be doing, for example, is using user data scripts at EC2 boot time to retrieve certificates from the SSM parameter store and then load them onto your EC2 instances. And obviously, to retrieve these SSL certificates, they will need to be proper IAM roles set up for your EC2 instances. And that would work, and your EC2 instances would be able to provide HTTPS back to your users, and that would work really well. But performing SSL encryption and decryption can use up some valuable CPU resources on your EC2 instances. On top of it, you have to extract the SSL certificates out of your SSM parameter store, and that may be somewhat of a risk problem if someone was able to SSH into your EC2 instances. So something you can do though is using Cloud HSM to do SSL offloading. So we have the same architecture. The users talk to the NLB, which forwards TCP traffic to your EC2 instances, which are in fact HTTPS. And so to perform the actual SSL encryption, you can offload it to Cloud HSM using SSL acceleration. And this is something that's supported out of the box by something like Nginx or the Apache web servers. And the idea is that the Cloud HSM device in the backend will be the one performing the SSL acceleration or offloading for your EC2 instances, and that will save up some valuable resources for your EC2 instances. So that's a very classic solution architecture as well. Extra level of security is that the SSL private key will never leave the HSM device, and so it's extra secure. The only way to make this work is to set up a cryptographic user, so CU, on the Cloud HSM device, and make sure your EC2 instances can use up that user. And where could that user be stored? Well, for example, you can store the username and password on the SSM parameter store. So you're quite, you can have so many ways of doing this architecture, but using the Cloud HSM SSL offloading is one of the most secure and one of the most handy as well. So this is probably something new for you, and I wanted to show it to you. So that's it for this lecture. I will see you.